Good Sunday evening, the first live broadcast from the River Docks channel in 2026. Hope some people remember me. You get in here and I can see y'all again. It has been a long time. Welcome, all you groovy guys and dolls out there. Looking forward to seeing y'all. Jump on, say hi. There's Scott Nickerson. Good to see you, Scott. I got a couple albums that I want to talk about. I got a little bit of a documentary I want to show you later on. And we're going to get in to that on a frosty, cold evening, even in Florida. All right, Kegi. Yeah. I can't see if that's an O or an A. You know my eyesight's trashed. KG. Thanks for listening in, KG. Hornback, good to see you, my friend. It has been a while. I know that. I've been busy. I've had all kinds of things, projects going on. I haven't even put hardly any videos out on YouTube. You know, I think I put one video out since, probably about the first week of December. I just haven't had time to work on them. I've been working on a bunch. I don't know if you can see it over to my left here, but I have a whole nother computer set up, and this one is for nothing but recording music. And I've installed some new software on it, and I've been doing some demo tapes and things like that right here from my house. So that's what I've been up to. You know what? We're going to talk, and we got plenty of time. We got an hour tonight. I got a few different things I want to talk about. Let's get in to some of these albums. I got a couple of albums I want to talk about. And I have a little, like I said, I got a little video documentary that I'm going to show you. Nobody's heard it before. Why? Because I just threw it together a few days ago. And it's not like my normal documentaries, but you guys get to see it first. And we're going to get to it. Now, this is the time machine, and we are going back to the 70s, all right? And we're going to go back to 1971. This is one of the first albums that I ever purchased, okay? I think it's probably the second or third one. I just purchased it because I thought the album cover looked cool back then. Take a look. Anybody ever heard of this band? That album was put out in 1971. I think I bought it in probably 72 or 73. I seen it. Hello, Melissa. Jennifer Jones, good to see you. I bought this album, purchased it because it was, they call it, the genre they listed under now is rock and roll heavy metal. Back when I was a teenager, it was called acid rock, and that's what we called this music. This was a group called Dust. Hi, Mike Glasgow. Good to see you. This album, I bought it for, I just seen the cover, and I flipped it over. Let me see if I should have a picture of the back of it. And let's see. I'm getting quicker at this, but like I said, there we go. There's the back of it. And the album, the name of the song that was, I guess it was, you'd call it the title song, was From a Dry Camel. And I want to talk a little bit about this album and the three musicians that are in it. Okay? This album, Dust only put out two albums, one in 1971 and 1972. And right now, the one from 1972 don't come to my mind real quick. This one does, not so much for the music that was in it, but for the players that they went on and the producer of this album. And I'll mention his name now. His name was Kenny Kerner, okay? Keep that in mind. We're going to We'll come back to his name, okay? Now, let me see. Let me take this down. How can I do that? I do it like this. And I see how they're doing it now. Finally, all right, that's good. I'm going to go move to the bass player. Okay, this is the bass player from that group. His name is Kenny Aronson. Now, Kenny Aronson, remember, I didn't know all this when I bought this album. I didn't know how all three of these players would play great parts through rock and roll history. I mean, you can't believe this. I seen Kenny Aronson play bass in 1977, and he was playing bass for Rick Derringer when Rick Derringer was out on tour with Sammy Hagar and Boston. He was a bass player. Kenny Aronson's played with, well, there's a list. He's played with Bob Dylan, Billy Idol, Joan Jett and the Blackhawks, Foghat, Sammy Hagar, Billy Squier, the New York Dolls, and Hall & Oates. This guy has been playing forever. He is a fantastic bass player. I mean, you just really, really got to get some respect for this guy. He's really a good bass player, and with the group Dust, like I said, you can look them up on YouTube. I think you might enjoy them if you like old acid rock type things. But when you find out where these guys all came from, it makes it even different, okay? And so that was Kenny Aronson right there. He's on the far right. Now, in the center is the drummer of this group, okay? And his name, I don't know if you can see it or not, read it, get up close enough, but his name is Mark Bell, Marcbell. Now, Mark Bell, that is his real name. Yes, that is definitely his real name. I'm double checking to make sure so I don't go totally off the realms here. And Mark Bell, let's see, he changed his name to, what happened here? I don't get it. Oh, too many files. I'll be darned. This is ridiculous. He changed his name. Come on. Come on, StreamYard. StreamYard's just not doing it. I guess it's just too much for it. Huh. Hang on. Let me go through this here. Remove this. Remove this. Remove this. Boy, there, I got it to go. You could see it there for a second. StreamYard has really changed since I was last on it. But anyway, let's go ahead and do it to it. There he is. He changed his name in 1973 or 4 to Marky Ramone, and he was the drummer for the punk band the Ramones. And he played with them for a long time. Now the Ramones, they had quite a few drummers. I don't know. They went through and everybody's name was Ramone. You know how that goes. But these were the guys that made up Dust. Mark Ramone. Okay. Now you got it. And we got another guy there. He's a guitar player. And his name is Richie Wise. He was a left-handed player. He played a Gibson SG for a while. He was a pretty good guitar player. But one thing he did was he ended up producing albums. Now, if this thing will still work, I'm going to show you him in the middle of producing an album. I believe if this will work, there we go. That's Richie Wise there with a haircut, and he's a little better. This was in 1970, late 73 or late 73 at Bell Sound Studio. You know who that guitar player is playing that? Looks like a Fender Telecaster Deluxe. Got a Strat neck, humbuckers on it, and a Telecaster body. Yep, that's the Spaceman. That's Ace Frehley. Yep, you're right, Scott Nickerson. That's Ace Frehley. Richie Wise, and remember I said before, the guy that produced the Dust album, Kenny Kerner. Richie Wise and Kenny Kerner were hired to produce Kiss's first album, okay? And they also produced, now that was their debut album, and that was the one to me, that album had some of the strongest songs Kiss ever did, you know, that they ever played. They were still playing them songs 50 years later, you know, like Strutter, Deuce, Cold Gin, come on, Black Diamond, 100,000 Years. I mean, that thing was just loaded with great songs. Well, Richie Wise and Kenny Kerner produced that album. And they also produced the second album, which was Hotter Than Hell. The first album was produced at Bell Sound Studio in New York, and the second album was produced out in California. I forgot what studio they used. They was going to use that one producer, the one that produced Jimi Hendrix and all them. The guy that produced Kiss's Alive album, Eddie Kramer. That's who they wanted to get, but it just so happened that Kiss's record label, I can't think of the guy's name that owned it, Casablanca at the time he bought it. He did not like Eddie Kramer, not for his workability, but he said he was too slow and costed too much money. So it cost too much money to do it. So they changed it out and they produced that. And that was Richie Wise, the guitar player. And I don't know if he went on and played anymore on any other albums or not. I haven't really researched him that much, you know. But them three guys, you know, and I got that when I bought that album, and I listened to it all the time. I thought it was a great album. I was buying that in the time, you know, I had albums like Black Sabbath, Paranoid. I was getting into that, and Cooper's School's Out. The first Grand Funk Live album, they was really big for me back in that time as I was growing up. As I said, I turned a teenager in 1970, so I was 13 years old in 1970. And this was the music, this was the type of music that molded me into more heavy rock and roll, where I kind of started getting away from the Beatles for a while. And, well, the blues, Johnny Winter, I was big on Johnny Winter and things like that. But this album here, I thought it was a good story. The people, what was behind it and everything like that. You know, you wouldn't think. I guess they just got together and did themselves an album, you know, and put it out. And like I said, Kenny Kerner, he produced it for him. Well, him and Richie ended up getting together, and they've produced more albums. I'd have to research it. I don't really know. But they worked quite a bit producing and things like that into music. I think Kenny Kerner may have actually worked on some other Kiss albums later on down the line. Maybe with Peter Criss or Gene Simmons. I'm not sure, like in their when they did their solo albums, but I'm not positive on that. But I thought that was a great band. And just was a great story, you know, and how it started. And like I said, I didn't know any of that. But you had Marky Ramone, you know, Marky Ramone from the Ramones. You had Kenny Aronson, who played for everybody. And when I heard him with Rick Derringer, I mean, I'm going to tell you something. Rick Derringer opened the show, and Sammy Hagar had just, left Montrose and come out. He had the song, remember Red and all that. He was second up, and then Boston, they was very, very good. They sounded, almost like the record. They was really, really good. But Rick Derringer put some fire into that show. I do not know who was. He had four pieces. He had another guitar player with him, and a drummer, and Kenny Aronson was on bass, and them guys smoked. Pretty cool story, though, huh? Oh, I'll go back through the messages here after we get done talking and everything. Pretty cool story. Now, I'm going to talk about one more album, and a lot of people, they don't talk about it as much, and they don't talk about the singer as much. I've tried to do a few things on YouTube with it, and I don't know if it's YouTube that kills it or the people don't want to talk about it, but, this is my live show, and I'll talk about what I want, and hopefully some of you all like to talk about it too. But tell me or not if you owned this album at one time. Anybody buy that album? The Bat Out of Hell album was, I'd always thought it was monumental. It came out, I believe, in 77, 76, 77. I think we all did, and I can't think of a girl that I went out with that didn't love that album. Exactly, Michael Chewing. Mm-hmm. Ronnie Hooper, you didn't have that one, huh? Greetings from Detroit. Hello there. Rock Miller. All right. Yeah, this album had a really good story. Now, what I did was, I don't know, some of you probably have watched my documentaries on YouTube. I don't do a lot of them anymore because YouTube wants AI videos and things like that, and they don't like a real human talking, it don't seem like, and I don't want to spend the time. But what I did do, I put together a short documentary. It's just me speaking with some pictures of, yes, Marvin Lee Aday was the vocalist on that. And I did get to see him, but it was later on in his career. I didn't get to see him at the height of it. I wish I had him. Exactly. And this guy, he was such a fine vocalist. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but Meatloaf, his real name was Marvin Lee Aday, and I believe he went by Michael sometimes too, Michael Aday. But Meatloaf's what everybody knew him by. Did you know that he was the vocalist on, I want to say 4 or 5 songs on Ted Nugent's Free For All album? This was a time when Nugent and Derek St. Holmes, who I think is a fantastic vocalist and guitar player. I just love Derek St. Holmes to death. I've got a video on my channel about him. Ted and Derek, they had kind of a love-hate relationship off and on. I mean, they love each other. They even get together and play today after 50 years. So you know how it goes. But they had got into it. Something didn't quite click during the Free For All album. And Meatloaf was hired to sing, and he put 5 songs on that album. 4 or 5. I'd have to look it up. But he was on the Free For All album singing, and I believe, from what I remember, that he was paid $1,000 at that time. And this would have been right before, I think Free For All came out in, 75, 76? And this was while him and Jim Steinman was working on The Bat Out of Hell and putting that album together. But he went in, probably did it because he needed the money or whatever. And I've also heard Ted Nugent say a few times what a great vocalist this guy was. So, I'll tell you what, without further ado, let's see if I can find this right here. I'm going to put a short video. This is about a 5-minute video. Y'all want to watch it real quick? Please do. Let me know if the audio is not loud enough or too loud. I'm not sure. I can't tell from here with these headphones what you guys are hearing out there. But I'm going to play this, and we're going to watch it and listen. Look, there's some great pictures and some information on Marvin Lee Aday, Meatloaf, who passed away, I believe, in 2021. It was during the pandemic. But anyway, here you go. Check this out. Now, this is just me and my voice, and this is nothing. This is not a well-produced. I just sit down and I'm talking off the top of my head, kind of like I'm talking right now. So here we go. But a short time later, he went to the airport and caught the next flight to Los Angeles. There you go. Meatloaf was born in Dallas, Texas, September 27th, 1947. He was an only child. His mother, Wilma, was a school teacher, and she sang in a girls' gospel quartet. Meatloaf was given his nickname by his high school football coach. In 1965, Meatloaf graduated from Thomas Jefferson High School, having appeared in school stage productions such as Where's Charlie? And The Music Man. After attending college at Lubbock Christian College, he transferred to North Texas State University. After he received his inheritance from his mother's death, he rented an apartment in Dallas and kind of isolated himself for a while. But a short time later, he went to the airport and caught the next flight to Los Angeles, California. After arriving in L.A., he formed his first band, Meatloaf Soul. The band then underwent several changes of lead guitarist, changing the name of the band each time. The new names included Popcorn Blizzard and Floating Circus. As Floating Circus, they opened for The Who, The Fugs, The Stooges, MC5, Grateful Dead, and the Grease Band. Their regional success led them to release a single, Once Upon a Time, and backed with Hello. Then Meatloaf joined the Los Angeles production of the musical Hair. Meatloaf later stated that the biggest life struggle he had to overcome was not being taken seriously in the music industry. He compared his treatment to that of a circus clown. A few years later, he hired an agent. Then he auditioned for the Public Theater's production of More Than You Deserve. It was there, during the audition, Meatloaf met his future collaborator, Jim Steinman. In late 1973, Meatloaf was cast in the original L.A. Roxy cast of the Rocky Horror Show, playing the part of Eddie and Dr. Everett Scott. The success of the musical led to the filming of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, in which Meatloaf played only Eddie, a decision he said made the movie not as good as the musical. About the same time, Meatloaf and Steinman started work on The Bat Out of Hell. Meatloaf convinced Epic Records to shoot videos for 4 songs: Bat Out of Hell, Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, You Took the Words Right Out of My Mouth, and 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad. He then convinced Lou Adler, the producer of Rocky Horror, to run the Paradise video as a trailer to the movie. Meatloaf and Steinman started the Bat Out of Hell project in 1972, but did not get serious about until the end of 1974. Meatloaf and Steinman spent time seeking a record deal. Their approaches were rejected by each record company because the songs did not fit any specific recognized music industry style. Finally, they performed the songs for Todd Rundgren, who decided to produce the album as well as play lead guitar on it. Other members of Rundgren's band, Utopia, also lent their musical talents. They then shopped the record around, but they still had no takers until Cleveland International Records decided to take a chance In October of 1977, after 5 years of planning and hard work, Bat Out of Hell was finally released. Meatloaf and Jim Steinman then formed the band the Neverland Express to tour in support of Bat Out of Hell. Their first gig was opening for Cheap Trick in Chicago, but he gained national exposure as a musical guest on Saturday Night Live on March 25, 1978. After that, the album just took off, and Meatloaf was on his way to becoming a star. I myself didn't get to see Meatloaf live until 1989 at a venue called Mississippi Nights down on the riverfront in St. Louis, Missouri. The band and his vocals were outstanding. It was a great show. The only regrets I had were I didn't get out to see him sooner, and I only got to see him live one time. I did own the Bat Out of Hell album. Then I got the 8-track, and then a cassette, and finally a CD of it. So I did my small part helping it sell 40 million copies worldwide. Oh, and how could I forget the old VHS tape with the videos on it from that album? I bought one of those too. Nowadays we can just go to YouTube and all the songs and videos, they're all there. If you haven't heard or seen any of them, I highly recommend you do that. And if you have any thoughts or stories, please feel free to leave them in the comments sections and show Meatloaf some love and respect. And there you have it. That's just a little breakdown of the Meatloaf story. And you don't hear a whole lot about it. And what I could find, even people that had done a few documentaries on YouTube on him, they didn't have many views on it. And I don't understand why. I mean, here you go, guys. That album was huge. 40 million worldwide is pretty darn good. It really is. I think it's sold like 15 million copies here in the United States. And like I said, every girl that I knew and dated back at that time just loved that album. They was really into Meatloaf. I was too. I thought it was great. I thought he had a great voice. He was the kind. He give me goosebumps. Some of the notes that man could hit. He was really that good. But that's it. That's what I had to say tonight, and we still got time. What do you all have to say? It's been a while. Let me go back through the comments, and I know I missed some. Let me see who's here. Oh my goodness, there's a bunch of people here, and I did not mean to leave anybody out, guys. I just got busy talking. I had this all set up what I wanted to talk about. I figured I'd do that, and then we'd talk. There's Tommy O'Damarock. How you doing, Tommy? Good to see you. There's Pommy. And, Scott Nickerson, you're here. Ronnie Hooper. And Hornback, of course. Mike Glasgow. Oh, man. You guys are just all over the place. It's so good to see you. I appreciate you. I didn't even know if you guys would remember me. I've been gone so long. I think December 13th was the last live show I did, and I said I'll be back in 2026. And I was going to come back last night, but guess what happened? We had 40, 45-mile-an-hour wind gusts coming in off the Gulf last night, and it got down to 32 degrees here. That's the coldest it's ever been. I've been here 9 years now, and that's the coldest it's ever been. Melissa Jennifer Jones. Yep, Meatloaf was amazing in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Exactly. Yep, that's it. Like I said, he did. I think he had Rock. I think he had four or five cuts on it. I don't know. Have to look it up. Yeah, he was in some movies. What Rhodey was one? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um, he had a good career. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Um, what's this? Jerry Flowers, brother Randy was Meatloaf's tour guitars for a while. You know what year that was in? Uh, My Strings, 212, 2112. They were from Charleston, West Virginia. Like I said, I saw Meatloaf in 80, 89, I think it was, I said. I looked it up. Um, and it was different. He toured with different musicians. He had a nice sized band. He had a girl singer with him. I don't remember her name or whatever, but they did a good job. I had meatloaf tonight and it was good. I like meatloaf myself. It might have been that Hornback. I don't know what took him and everything like that. Um, it was just I don't know. I thought the videos, everything about it was just cool and well produced. And Meatloaf did some other albums too, and they nothing could touch that one. He never did. He was doing them up until I think around 2015, his voice really started going, and he kept doing and performing live, but he didn't. What can I say? He couldn't hit the notes no more. He was, and I don't know if he was doing it for the money or just. For them guys, a lot of times it's hard for them to give up. They miss playing. That's all they singing. That's all they ever knew. They're artists. Hello, Karen Blair. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. I do appreciate it. Yep, it's good to be back. I'm glad. Good to see all you guys back too. Oh God, -9. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. I just talked to my son. He's in Sioux City, South Dakota, and he's been working. And it's been very cold up there. I can't imagine. I haven't been in cold. This is the coldest weather. I went back to St. Louis one time about 4 years ago, and it got down to 30. And then last night down here it got down to 32. That's the coldest weather I've been in 9 years. And remember, I used to play music in the 80s, and I played all over out west and up north and things like that. I played North Dakota, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, Michigan. Marquette, Michigan was a big trip, and I played all them in the wintertime. I know what cold is, and I don't never want to feel it again. The 70s was, like I said, I became a teenager in 1970, and I grew up in that era. And I look back on it now, and how my kids grew up, they grew up in the 90s, um, well, in the 80s, 80s and 90s, and now my grandkids are growing up, and it's all so much different. I am happy though. I I'm glad that I did what I did, and I was born when I was born, and I had the music that I had then, because I can't change. It's not that I don't like. I just the new music coming out today, just as Bob Seger said, it just don't have the same soul, and it don't. Oh, there's a long one. No, I haven't. I haven't. To be truthfully honest with you, yeah, he was a good singer. I don't know. You know something that I did though that you just rattled my bell on, KG. Um, that Bad Out of Hell album that Meatloaf did. You know Todd Rundgren's band Utopia. There was a lot of the players on that, but you know what? There's three songs on that album, and I can't name them exactly. But Edgar Winter played saxophone on three songs on that album. So that's kind of a, I guess you'd call it a little footnote. But Edgar was on that. I remember him talking about that in an interview, and I read it the other day. Hey, bro, what's up? Thanks for stopping in. You know what? I miss the 70s too, Cindy. The the 70s was a great time. And yes, I would love to go back. This is why I call this my time machine. I go back and talk about things in the 70s, and it, that's what we should do. You don't live in the past. I live in the present moment. Like I told you, I got a computer set up here. I write songs. I play songs. I do all this. I have a lot of things to do. But when I want to recharge my batteries and escape, I go back to the 70s and I look back on my childhood, my teenage years. Yeah, I'd like to go back and live that again. I had a blast growing up. I really did. I had some great friends. Um, we wasn't rich by no means, my parents, but I always had a home and I always had a job. Trust me, my dad drilled that in me all my life. But yeah, I'd like to go back to the 70s. It's a great place to go to. He was part of the band around 2018. Yeah, so I was just thinking he might have been there. Somebody in '89 or something when I saw him. Let's see. Eh, the Blizz of '78. We had the one I was in St. Louis. The blizzard hit there with I believe '82 was a bad one. Oh man, 20 some odd inches of snow and stuff. That was a bad one. Yeah, final day of high school. Mine was '76. So like I said, I got a feeling most all of you here are pretty close. We're pretty close in age. I don't get too many young people. Born in '72. Now that's you're down there. Let's see, Sam. You see, I have to look over at the bigger. I can't look at the camera. I have to look at the bigger screen to see names and things like that. And I don't know how in the hell you want Sam Pilo? Sam? I don't know. I'll call you that. I was a kid in the '70s. So you was a young kid, yeah? And then the '80s. The '80s too wasn't bad. There was some damn good music in the '80s. It just started changing a little bit. That's what it did. Music changes, it evolves. And the '80s wasn't bad. I like a lot of the '80s music. You know? Um they did. There was a lot of sharing and music. There was projects there. It wasn't all. Don't get me wrong. They did that for money. They sure did. But it's not like today. They're not. They wasn't money hungry. They just wanted to make great music. I mean, you're talking guitar players like Jeff Beck and Robin Trower and them guys. They could have probably been stars. Johnny Winter, but they turned it all down. They just wanted to play their music their way, and it was some great music. That's for sure. Hornback, take care. Thanks so much, buddy, for stopping in. I really appreciate you know that. God bless you too. And may all the angels just look out and take care of you and yours. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, I understand that. I get that. It was tough. Like I said, I was a musician. I started playing a guitar. The minute I seen John Lennon on the Ed Sullivan Show. I wanted to be John Lennon, and I was probably 6 years old at that time. And I've been playing. I was a musician. Music's a big part of my life. And it was for a long time, and it always has been. I couldn't make a living at it, but I always kept it there at the side too. Once I finally come home and got off the road and everything like that, I was about 30 years old, 31, 32. But we know Alvin Lee, God, 10 years after, I cut my teeth on them guys. Just loved it. 1989, sir. Is that when you was born? I'll be darned. I'm getting some, if that's when you was born, I'm getting some young people in here. I like that. It's all right. It's all right. When I was young, when I was a teenager, I was going back, past the Beatles into groups like Bill Haley, Ike Turner and the Kings of Rhythm and things like that. I did. Yep, that's my year too, Scott. We're the same age, buddy. We sure are. Hey, how'd that snowstorm treat you? I seen that thing was heading out toward the East Coast up there in North Carolina. Hope it's not too bad. It's been cold in Maple, you heard. I got a friend in Potosi. He's usually on here once in a while. He said they've been down. They got 10 inches of snow and down to 0. I don't have to worry about that. They did have snowflakes flying around here, though, last night. Everybody was sending pictures on YouTube or Facebook. Yeah, exactly. And see, here's the thing. I was born in 57, like Scott, but I had older brothers and sisters, or older brother and sisters, and they was into rock and roll. And they was quite a bit older than I was. I was kind of an afterthought with my mom and dad. And I picked up the music from them. As a matter of fact, for years, my sister actually gave me her box with her 45 collection in it. And there was, all kinds of Buddy Holly records, the Big Boppers, Chantilly Lace, songs like that, And them were the songs that I grew up with because my sister and brother and them played them. And then when my brother left, he went into the service. And when he came home from his first tour, they sent him to Greenland. And I guess, he was 18 years old and he was very homesick. And when he came home, he brought home a big record collection. And what was really cool, he stayed at the house for a while and he would let me play all of his albums and stuff, and he taught me how to treat an album, take care of it. And I was young. He was 18 and I was like 6. He was like 12 years older than me or more. And I used to listen to all them albums, all of them that he put on. Bo Diddley, Roy Orbison, I think like Peter, Paul, and Mary, they was really big. I'll tell you a good Peter, Paul, and Mary story in just a second here. Yeah, it is. Classic rock and roll is dying. The recordings will never die, and neither will the memories. And that was what my channel, and still is really about. My channel never was about trying to do things and follow trends and this, that, and the other. I just wanted to keep some of these people alive. Like the group Dust, Meatloaf, I do a lot of off-the-wall stuff too, like Derek St. Holmes and Danny Gatton and all them guys. There's one, 1955. Mike Glasgow. Okay, so you're the old man right now. There's Tommy Huxley. Hey, bud, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for stopping in. You know that. 4 or 5 inches of snow, that ain't too bad. Yeah. They can handle that up there. 4 or 5 inches, that ain't too bad. They'll get it. Hopefully the sun will come out. I know it's supposed to start warming up here. Tomorrow we're going to get into the 50s during the day, and then we'll be back up in the 60s the day after that. Yeah. Right? Skinner, the Allman Brothers, Government Mule. Yeah. Of course. And that's all great music, and it don't matter what age you are. You can always find good music, and you can still love the music that's out today, too, if you so desire. Every once in a while, I'll hear some music. Some of you all here have turned me on to bands, and I'll listen to them and go, man, they're pretty good. You know, I like them. I just always go back to my old stuff. Peter, Tommy Huxley, are you talking about Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul, and Mary? I got to tell you that story. I keep going through this. Stone should have quit 5 years ago. You know, sure, they should have, but why? They don't have to. If people's going to keep going to the shows, they're not doing it for the money. I'm telling you that right now. They got plenty of money from their songwriting royalties, excuse me, and their recordings. But, hey, my. They just like to play. You know, I mean, listen to David Lee Roth. He's out there still trying to sing. That poor boy, he can't sing at all anymore. But I don't know. He might be doing it for the money. Who knows? Greta Van Fleet, yeah, that's a good group. I knew what you meant. There's my friend Beer and Backroads. I talked to Creepy today. Creepy's going to start live shows back on his Fangs and Folklore channel. He says real soon here. He's working with OBS to get things going so he can get his software and everything installed. He is putting videos. So, yeah, they're going to do it. And I talk to Creepy every once in a while. He's still going along, being as creepy as ever. But check his channel out. It's called Fangs and Folklore. He's put some videos. He's got a couple of good, scary ones out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that Peter. Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. Oh, yeah. He's really in bad shape, man. I feel bad for him in a way. But, Okay, I'm going to tell you a real quick story here. I'll be back with the comments here in a minute. Peter, Paul, and Mary. My brother came home from Greenland, and he had the Movin' album. I don't know if you're familiar with that one or not, but it had, Blowing in the Wind, Lemon Tree, Settle Down, Puff the Magic Dragon, had all them songs on it. And I love them songs. And it's funny, I learned them on acoustic and things like that, and I used to play Puff the Magic Dragon and Blowing in the Wind for my kids. They still remember that, And on my birthday, for my 40th birthday, God, it's been a long time ago, my wife bought me tickets for a Peter, Paul, and Mary show, a concert in St. Louis at the Fox Theater. And I was sitting there going, because they was getting up there, Mary was on a cane. She was that leukemia I think she had was really starting to get to her. But we went, and it was one of the most enjoyable shows. It was so nostalgic. Hearing them sing them songs that I heard, at 5 and 6 years old. And, that I'd walk around singing and things like that. Because a lot of it, you didn't hear it all on the radio and everything. And it was probably one of the most memorable, nostalgic concerts that I ever went to. And their voices sounded just as good then as they did when they was younger. And I believe Peter Yarrow just passed away here. It might have been last year, but it was within the last few months he passed away. I think Paul Stuckey's the only one left now. What's that? Red Clay Strays. Yeah. There is some groups out there. They have some, some Skynyrd vibes to them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love Skynyrd. I was a big Skynyrd freak. I wanted to be Alan Collins at times, and sometimes I wanted to be Mark Farner. I wanted to be John Lennon. Yeah. I got a video on Glenn Campbell. I seen him. I don't know. Watch the video I talk about. I seen him. Man, he started tapping, and I'm telling you what, that guy can play anything he wants to. Got a great voice, too. Yeah, the Fox is great. You know who I seen there too, Mike? I seen, remember Andrew Dice Clay? I seen him down there in his heyday. Who else did I see at the Fox? Mostly there was folk music and country music shows at the Fox. I didn't see a lot of rock and roll there. I seen Patty Loveless, great voice. God, she's good looking too. I seen the Desert Rose Band with Chris Hillman, and he had Tom Brumley on steel guitar. Back from the Burrito Brother days, I believe it was. I seen them. Fox is a great venue. I used to go there. We used to go there every year too. We had a again. See, I go back to reminiscing because I really look when I look back on my life. I see the good. I don't really see too much bad. You know, we all have bad. But we used to go every year. They had the Christmas Carol, a play that came through in St. Louis, and they played it. And me and my wife used to go and see it, and every year until it finally quit, and then we moved away from St. Louis, of course. I used to love to go to the Fox, though. Yeah, Glenn Campbell can read charts, though. He's a chart-reading fool. You know, he was a good studio musician. I did see that. I did. That was after the plane crash. I saw that video. It floated around for a while, and then it kind of disappeared. Did they take it down, or what happened with it? I have no clue. I saw that, though. Some people were saying it was AI. There's no way. That was real. Right on. Oh, Burton Cummings, yeah. Yeah, isn't him and Randy Bachman out now? Are they out touring now? Yeah, Burton Cummings, singing fool, man. Singing fool. You know, I had a funny story about Burton Cummings. I never met Burton, but I met a guy out in Cheyenne, Wyoming when I was playing out there, and he was a guitar player for a country band. And he told me that he had played with Burton Cummings. And I thought, oh, yeah, you know, I go on like that. Well, the guitar player's name was Jack Daniels, and he was played with a group. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They was a pretty big country group in the 80s, late 80s, you know, maybe early 90s, yeah, around in there, called Highway 101. He had a lead singer, a girl singer named Paulette Carlson. Well, Jack Daniels played guitar with them. And I was on the internet looking around one day, and sure enough, there's a picture of Jack Daniels with Burton Cummings. He's playing guitar with Burton Cummings. I was like, holy cow. You know, but when he told me that, I didn't believe him. I didn't believe him. I should have. Yeah, they was a good group. Mm-hmm. Seinfeld, yeah. I remember that. Hawk went to Fox, yeah. Disabled by substance. I'll tell you a funny story from the Fox, too, if you want to hear it real quick. I'm trying to think of what we went to see at the Fox, me and my wife. And, you know, they got cocktails there. And we stopped and we had a couple before we went in. And then I went out and got a couple of more and brought them back to the seats. Well, then I went back for a second trip. And I come back and I sit down, I hand this one over to my wife. I was sitting there drinking. And I walked out too far, and I was sitting by some gal, don't know who it was. I was handing her the cocktail. She was sitting there looking at me, and all of a sudden I hear my wife going, hey, you're in the wrong seat. And everybody started laughing at me. I sit down there with a gal. I got kind of buzzed there. I'll tell you what we used to really get buzzed at was when they had the concerts down at Kiel Auditorium. Man, they used to, oh, man. Some of them I don't even like to think about it now. Oh wow, Steve Miller acoustic version. Yeah, Steve Miller's a great guitar player. Did you know that Steve Miller? Here's something I know off the top of my head. Steve Miller's godparents was Les Paul and Mary Ford. Steve Miller's dad had a tape recorder and recorded a bunch of him and Les Paul was good friends, and that's how Steve got to know him. I got a video on my channel about Steve Miller. There's some good information on that. Yeah, that wasn't the Fox in St. Louis that I'm talking about though. That was excuse me. That was a Fox Theater. It was in Atlanta, I believe. Um, it's in Atlanta. Was it in Atlanta? It's called the Fox though. The one in St. Louis, it's a small. I think it's a little smaller than that one in Atlanta. I don't know if they're under the same umbrella, same owners or whatever. Yeah, well, I like Steve Miller too. Steve Miller was another killer group, so, from the Joker right on up. I mean, he was big in the '80s. He was more of an '80s group, wasn't he? '70s. He come out in the late '70s, I think. I don't remember. I have to look it back up. Autocorrect and fat fingers. I know that. I'm pretty good at reading. I know what I'm saying. Alan Parsons Project. Yep. Holy cow, guys. This hour just flew by. I forgot how much I miss talking and seeing y'all. I really do. And it's really good to see y'all again. I can't believe you guys remembered me. I said I'll probably do it. Nobody. I think what I'm going to try to do is start doing some live shows. Do them on Saturday nights. I know that's kind of a bad night for some people, but it really works out well for me. I've got some other things going on. I'm looking actually at some property to buy down here, and I need time during the week to do it. Weekends are more free for me. So you'll probably start seeing me maybe more on Saturday nights, and I'll throw some things together like I did, and early we'll go through it, and we'll talk about some albums, some of the stuff. If you want, you can always, if you got something that you want to see if we can get a little project going on, certain albums you want to talk about, or this, that, and the other, I can always do a little research. I'm going to try to do some shorter videos, documentaries like I did tonight on the Meatloaf, and I'm just going to play them on here. I'm not even going to upload them to YouTube right now because they're not doing anything. I may cut into this live show here and get some of it, and maybe upload it to YouTube where some other people can see it too. But yeah, weekends, yeah, they're usually pretty fine, especially for us old people. I don't go out that much anymore, and the thing is, I don't go out at night. I'm usually in. I don't like to drive at night anymore. My eyesight's not what it's supposed to be, and so it'll probably be Saturday nights. We'll do them, and as I said, Captain Creepy has the show going. He's getting ready to start up on his Fangs and Folklore channel. You guys like the horror and things like that? He's got some really good documentaries he's been putting out over there and trying to get it up and going. And I got some other friends. They got a channel out called Heartland Hot Rods. And there's some friends of mine I used to play music with and things. They're back from St. Louis. They're outside of St. Louis. And if you like hot rods and old cars and trucks, it's really a good channel to check out. And once I get everything going here, I'll have some links for it. I don't have it tonight. I wasn't real prepared tonight. I threw this all together so I'd have a little bit to talk about and things like that. So I guess as the time goes by, the hour's over. I don't know if you guys got anything else you want to say, talk about. I'm going to have to fly pretty soon. I don't know if you notice also that I'm not standing. I am sitting in my desk chair. My back's been feeling pretty good. I usually stand because my back starts hurting when I sit for too long. But as of right now, I've been feeling pretty good. I've been feeling pretty good. So I guess I'll tell you what. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for stopping in, all you groovy guys and dolls. I just love it. You come by, not square, you got to be there so you're not square, and you guys aren't squares. You're really cool. Come back next week. You know what I'm saying? And we will. Oh, thanks. I got all kinds of. Man, I got all kinds. I'll wear a different tie dye next time. I got all kinds. I've got about 6 or 7 of them in there. I'm an old hippie. I walk around barefooted all the time, except out in the sand because there's too many sandburrs around here, and they're badass sandburrs too. I'm telling you what, you got to dig them out with a pair of pliers. So I wear flip-flops. Flip-flops and tennis shoes. No cowboy boots no more for me. That's for sure. Yep. Gotta love tie-dye. Have to. That's great, yeah. Hey, I'm glad you stopped in, my strings. Yeah. Oh, dude, you guys are, I appreciate each and every, like I said, I appreciate each and every one of you. I really and truly do. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't know what I'd be doing with YouTube right now. The videos, they're pushing AI and they're pushing shorts. So I'm thinking, I might do lives and play a little video for you guys there. I might just put a little video together and play it on my live show. And we can sit and watch it, and then we can talk about it, to give us something to talk about and this, that, and the other. So, Finland, yeah, 4 a.m. I was going to say it might be time to go to bed or 4 a.m. It's 4 a.m. in Finland. I almost went to Norway. We almost played in Norway one time. They was going to send us on a USO tour, and then we backed out. We didn't want to leave the country. You're all very welcome. And like I said, again, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Thanks for supporting my channel and just being there for me. That's the main thing. That is what it's all about. But I'm going to fly off here. I hear a kitty cat scratching at my door. I don't know which one it is, but I shut them all out. And they're all going to be wanting in. I want you all to take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. You know what? Turn the news off. You don't need that stuff. We know a lot of stuff's bad out there, but there's a lot of good stuff in the world. And it's still there. There's a lot of good people out there. No matter what you do, what you believe or what you see, you don't have to live that stuff all the time. That's why, I'm on Facebook a little bit, but very little. I'm not having that stuff. And even with YouTube, they'll try to, you watch one video, they'll try to shove 10 more down your throat. And I won't have it. Let's be nice, be kind, be cool, be old hippies, and live life in the 70s. That's where it was cool. Y'all take care and thank you again so much for stopping in.